Blizzard fans, welcome back to another episode of the Cold Front Podcast, here coming after the loss against the Quad City Steamwheelers, the first one of the season. Joey Bonadonna alongside BJ Steven. Before we dive into that, we do have to address that we got some sick new gear here on the table here in front of us. Yeah,
I shouldn't say new, right? 2017, 2011.
Yeah, not blast from the past, but it's new to the set. So
yes,
we're trying to spruce things up a little bit here. But yeah, you were telling me mini helmet from 2011.
Yep, 2011. Got Greg the Hammer signature on there. Name probably a lot of fans haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, mine Road to the Championship from 2017. Blast from the past. Hopefully another road to the championship coming up here in 2026. But that road hits its first block here with a loss here in Moline against the Steamwheelers. And we said it last week. We said it the week before. Quad City's way better than the record had reflected.
Yep.
They were desperate for a win. They were playing like it. And you could definitely tell out of the gate they had Green Bay flustered from the get-go.
Yeah, you could just see it on our offense, right? We started slow, only 8 points in the first half, all of them coming from Mevis. Started slow, we're behind the whole game, and couldn't really take ahead in the second half. Yeah,
the second half, it was certainly a lot better. We saw starting to get some more of our weapons involved. Obviously, the deep shot to Drayshawn Hudson seems like it's bread and butter at some point. You're going to see at one point every week. It was great to see Terrell Carey back in action. He had a couple touchdowns in the second half. We'll hear from him in the later part of this show, but you could definitely tell there are a lot of weapons to be used. It's just a matter of we saw it was the opposite of what we've been. It was been struggling to finish. This one was a struggle to get out in front. Outscored Quad City in the second half just by 1 point, though, and when you're down by 16 at half, that's not going to do much to help the final score.
Yeah, we only had one stop, I believe, and they got a field goal on that drive anyways, scored every other drive. I think we scored a touchdown every drive at the end, or the second half, except for our last possession, but just couldn't make up the 16-point gap.
For sure. I want to give a shout out Quad City. We always say it's one of the fiercest rivalries in the IFL, one of the longest played rivalries in the IFL. But there's not many front offices in sports that I've worked with that I respect more than what Destiny Brown, the GM there. Corey Ross, he obviously talked to him last week. A lot of the players on that team, Kevin Rudd, Joe Kral. It was great to see Kevin Ransom as well, former Blizzard defensive back, and he had a great game as well. Phenomenal to see all of them. It's always fun to make that trip. So very exciting to see all of them. And like we say, they've played now 4 times the last 2 years. I think there's going to be a collision course. The Green Bay and Quad City play each other 3 times this season again, and who knows? Playoffs could be just around the corner once more. Obviously, a lot of seasons still to play, a very competitive Eastern Conference, but I think both teams are starting to put themselves in a position to be where they want to be come end of July, early August. So any more thoughts on that game before we start diving into some of the other games from around the league?
No, it was a good game to watch. I mean, as much as it sucked seeing us lose for the first time this season, it was going to happen at some point. No one had us going 16-0 preseason. So it was a good start to the season and turn around the next 3 quarters.
Yeah, the end of the first quarter is upon us. First 4 games through the door, and we're ready to move on. We'll talk about some of the other action, and obviously this was the big news of the weekend.
Yes.
Orlando, Rob Keefe, the head coach there, has been one of the best defensive play callers. He's obviously had a lot of championship experience in this league, a lot of connections to football in Orlando. He is out as head coach, announced his resignation the day before their game against Tulsa. Again, this is however many times it was the same thing with New Mexico that they lost Talia Tagovailoa to the UFL, and they had to turn around and get a win. They did in New Mexico. Same thing here. Head coach Rod Windsor steps in, gets them to the win against Tulsa, but that's obviously a bit of news that sent shockwaves through the sport on Saturday night as we saw that come out during the game in Moline.
Well, like you said, it didn't matter, right? They still won. It was a close game, went to overtime, but Orlando looked solid the whole game. They've been looking solid all season, even with their quarterback leaving 24 hours before the game. They've had a lot of adversity already, and they're 3-0, and they're top of the East right now.
Yeah, so they've been able to keep that undefeated streak. They're 3-0, some really strong wins, I'd argue, especially in the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
That's obviously something to keep in mind going forward. Toby Johnson, who is a longtime Pirate, he steps in as that defensive play caller, so it'll be interesting to see him on the field and not Rob Keefe. That's obviously going to be, for one of the top teams in the league, going to be something significant to monitor going forward, and something we'll monitor next week because Green Bay plays Orlando next week at the Resch Center.
Yep.
Before we dive into our icebreaker, this week's especially special, Frozen Phoenix game, the partnership with UWGB, University of Wisconsin Green Bay. This is going to be an exciting one. It's going to be a little different. It feels like there's always something to spruce up, something to find a way to find something new. So I'm actually really excited for this one. BJ, your kind of thoughts coming into this game with the Frozen Phoenix moniker?
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think we're going to have a really good crowd. The jerseys look fantastic. Everything's going to be decked out. I've seen we're running local ads already, which is fantastic. You don't see that a whole lot with
now we're talking
teams.
The business side on
strictly business now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great game, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so we'll jump into our icebreaker here as we welcome in the Iowa Barnstormers into Green Bay for the first time this season, but the second time this season taking on Iowa. We got a chance to talk with Iowa Barnstormers General Manager Juli Pettit and what it's been like for her experience in the Indoor Football League. All right, we're here with Juli Pettit of the Iowa Barnstormers. Juli, obviously just last week for Green Bay, the Blizzard in Quad City, but the week before Green Bay and Iowa, this is kind of one of the longest standing rivalries in the sport. What's that been like to have these matchups with Green Bay over so many years?
It's great. It's two of the franchises that have really been around for a long time, been able to kind of keep that brand alive and really focus on community, which I think is the key thing. And it's great. I mean, we play 3 times, and that is no easy feat. Obviously, Green Bay's had it up on us the past few years, and we're looking for a comeback here. We've got a really young team and a really tough schedule. The East is powerful this season, and we're already seeing that in these first few weeks. So we definitely have our work cut out for us. But we're a young team kind of getting our grounding, and we've already faced Green Bay once and it didn't go our way. So we're really looking forward to this weekend to kind of getting back on track.
We got a chance to talk to Coach Coles a couple weeks ago, but year one for him, what was that process like of bringing in Coach Coles to this group, and how has he been as a leader of this franchise?
Yeah, Coach Coles was such an easy hire because he is very professional. He's very intelligent. He knows this sport, and he's got a great track record as both a head coach and an assistant coach. And he's got a great team around him. He brought in Coach Blackman, Coach Cerna with him, and they've really been able to come in and quickly start to change the culture here, which it was just something that was needed. We needed kind of a fresh start and to get back to the races here with everybody else, and especially going into a season with such a competitive conference. We needed somebody that kind of had that leadership to be able to take the reins and really get in there. And again, we still have a young team. We're kind of notorious for having a lot of rookies on our roster, and that always comes with its own set of challenges. And Coach Coles has really kind of taken that challenge and started to shape that. And we're seeing improvements here and there, but it does definitely take us a little bit longer to get there. And we're really looking forward to seeing that. We have 3 games under our belt. We played 3 of the toughest teams in the conference so far. So we face all 3 of them again coming up in these next 3 weeks. So we have kind of an interesting start to the season. But for us, Coach Coles was definitely the person that we wanted taking the reins and kind of bringing his leadership style to our organization, and it's meshed very well with what we do here.
And I want to talk a little bit about your family and its legacy in the IFL, the award that was created here within the last couple of years, the John Pettit Person of the Year award. What has that meant for you, and to be able to have that legacy as a part of this league and the people who have earned that award in years past?
Yeah, so that is something that the board of directors and Commissioner Tryon put into place, which my entire family is incredibly grateful for. It means so much to us to have that in his name. And the purpose of the award is really to highlight the people in the front office standpoint, the people that are behind the scenes, kind of putting a lot of work in to make their teams successful, make sure that they're out in their own communities, but who are also looking at the greater good of the indoor football league as a whole. We're making huge strides, and that's something that isn't one person doing it. Everyone is kind of working together to make sure that we can keep advancing the league, and that is incredibly important as we keep growing. So having that award in his name has meant so much to my family. We're very appreciative that his work in promoting the league and growing the league is being recognized with that award in his name. It's given out to people every year who are doing the work behind the scenes and not always getting credit for it to advance the league. I know there's some people in the Green Bay office who have had that honor given to them over the past few years, and that's because, you know, your organization is one of the ones that really puts in the work to make sure that we are growing and advancing and continuing to make the moves that we need to be the premier league of indoor football, which Commissioner Tryon has done a lot of hard work to do. And that's just a really great thing. It's only been around for a couple of years. I'm personally very proud of all of the people who have received the award, and I really do look forward to kind of seeing who continues to earn that every year.
Yeah, you've kind of hit on it, the doing it through the community. That's kind of what, you know, I appreciate so much about this league, and seeing these front offices out in the community, and that's what this league is all about, is the small town. It's not necessarily always going to be obviously Green Bay has the Packers, but a lot of these markets don't have professional sports teams at the highest level. This is a great opportunity to do so. And Des Moines is a great sports town. It's always been one of my favorite trips. What's that been like to be able to, it's one of the biggest cities in the state, but to have that in your community. Talk a little bit about the Des Moines area.
We are a minor league capital. We have a lot of other great organizations surrounding us. We share our building with an AHL team and a G League team. And we have, the unique ability to be able to work with them in some capacities too, to make sure that we're promoting our sports locally, that we're doing youth programming and all of that. And it really is about getting out into the community and having the community be part of the team. Our sport specifically has such a unique opportunity to give the fans access to the players that a lot of sports don't provide. We all do the post-game autograph sessions at the end of the games where the fans can come down on the field and they get to talk to the players and get autographs and photos and do all of that. And that really gives them the ability to make those personal connections with the players. And as a developmental league, that's huge, because as these players continue to grow in their careers and go on to, other opportunities, you can follow their journey from a more personal level, which is just a really cool thing that we provide. So the more that we're all out in the community, the more that we're kind of forming those personal relationships with not just the players, but the front office staff, and all of that. And that's just a really unique and fun opportunity that we have. And it just makes the day-to-day more exciting when we get to go out and do different things with our communities.
Awesome, Julie. Well, I appreciate your time this week and talking a little bit about the Iowa Barnstormers. Like you said, this is just 2 of 3. There's a lot of matchups between Green Bay and Iowa this season. So appreciate your time, and best of luck here this week.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And we'll see you this weekend.
Appreciate Julie for taking her time as well. And again, we've talked about some of the mainstays in the IFL, Green Bay, Quad City, throw Iowa in that bunch as well. Obviously, one of the biggest names in the sport, in its history, obviously with the history of Kurt Warner and all of that. that obviously plays a role. But it's exciting to see these local rivalries that have stood for an incredibly long time between, I was talking about it after the game, Green Bay, Quad City, Iowa, that whole bunch there, that's old school indoor football. And it's good to see that type of, the tradition of those rivalries. Jumping into talking Blizz, Terrell Carey, we alluded to him before, a local guy. He's from Madison, went to UW Oshkosh. Exciting to see him get back out on the field. Had some exciting family news here over these last couple of weeks. What have you kind of taken away from Terrell?
Yeah, he's been looking great. Obviously, has only played, 2 games this season so far. But when you have a kid, I mean, that's more important.
Yeah.
So, but he's been looking good. He stepped right back in this week. I believe he had a score. So
2 of them.
2. Yeah, see. And yeah, I mean, we'll get him more up and going as the season continues, and just adds to our wide receiver room of weapons.
Well, we got a chance to hear him and his story after the game in Moline.
We're with Blizzard wide receiver Terrell Carey for our Talking Blizz segment this week. Terrell, year 2 here in Green Bay. What's this second year been like in getting a part of the program here in Green Bay?
I think my biggest thing is just being able to show that this year I'm a leader, being able to lead by example. Been kind of big on that this year. It's kind of last year I had a great group of guys who kind of teach me the ways of the IFL. So this year kind of just been trying to teach it to our younger guys and things like that. But just trying to stay cool, calm, and collective has been my biggest thing this season. I'm just like trying not to let the outside noise get to the inside within what we got going on. But in a tough loss like this, just kind of going back to the drawing board and figuring out what we got to do better and things like that.
Well, Terrell, you're a local guy. You're from Madison. You went to UW Oshkosh as well. What's it been like to be able to play professional football in the state of Wisconsin with the Blizzard organization?
First, thank the coaching staff for believing in me as a tryout guy, being here within my 2 years, being able to showcase that I can still bring things to the table. Thankful for that, but has been home love is home love. So it's one of those things where I don't take it for granted, being able to still try to go out there and show, hope that we can get a call to move up and things like that. But just trying to be able to show kids that you can live out a dream.
You talked about, the group of guys that were here last year and to be able to transition that and bring that to this group. How do you think that's gone here in the first month of the season to be able to show that leadership here at this group?
I think my biggest thing is just like knowing that last year was last year and this year we have a new group of guys who are hungry, talented and things like that, but just also being able to know that if I can show being able to bring the work to or being able to come to work every day, working hard and just being that example, I know it can help just show the standard that we kind of have here and things like that.
You mentioned, obviously, being a local guy, you also get a chance to be a little close to your family. I know you just had your second child here this
third actually.
Third here in March. Here we go, another one of the family.
Yes, sir.
But what's that been like to be able to be close to your family and see that grow here in Wisconsin?
Honestly, it's beautiful because my first year of professional football in Iowa, I was away from the family. So just like being able to have or know the difference between when the family is gone and just how I feel like it's a piece missing from me, but then also being able to be within the family and knowing that each night I get to see them, laughs, get to see the kids grow, and there's just nothing like being able to see your family grow firsthand than just like not being there and FaceTiming and things like that.
Well, TC, before we wrap things up here, what's one fun fact about you you'd like to share with Blizzard Nation?
That's a good question.
Curveball, it's always the one that trips people up.
Okay. I'm an educator, so I love mentoring, things like that. So look for me in the schools, just trying to get the family together and things like that, but I'm going to be in the schools a lot more later.
Awesome, Terrell. We appreciate your time.
Yes, sir, baby.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me a chance.
Yeah, for
yes,
sure.
Sir.
And keep this thing up. It's been a great start to the season, but a lot more still to go before August.
A lot more. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yes, sir, man. Thank you.
Appreciate Terrell for his time, and he's been one of my favorites. Last year, he didn't really play a whole lot, but he was still around the team, and he has an infectious personality. That laugh, you can hear it. He's great to get to see on game days, and exciting to see him step into a new role here in 2026. We'll jump into our forecast. Another chock-full week, a big slate coming up. All 14 teams in action. That kind of perfectly spaced out. We'll preview 2 games on Friday, 2 games on Saturday, and 2 games on Sunday. We'll start with the Battle of the Sunshine State, Orlando against Jacksonville. Jacksonville taking the loss against Vegas. Orlando still 3-0, but this is going to be a little bit of a different road test. They've made the trip to Jacksonville before, but this will be a little bit of an easier road trip for them.
Yeah, they don't have to fly now. I mean, it's 2-hour drive, and big difference. But the rivalry's still there. This is going to be a very hard-hitting game. We've seen it every time they've played. They've been playing each other since NAL. It's going to be a great game to watch. That'd probably be my pick for the week, honestly. I'm going to go Orlando. I think they're going to continue this win streak. Jacksonville has been getting there. It's still warming up, getting the season going, right? They only played 2 games. So kind of getting everything going. I think Orlando's just a little more put together already, even with the head coaching moves. So, yeah, I'm going to go Orlando.
First home game for Jacksonville this year. They're obviously at a trip out west, and now it feels like they'll kind of be able to be a little more acclimated to home. They've got the weapons. Jimmy Robinson, a former Pirate. James Cahoon's been great moving over from Iowa. Lowell Patron got in the end zone here against Vegas. All that's still to say, Orlando feels like they've been able to win on the field despite the adversity. I will go with them, but Jacksonville, like we've talked about, they have the weapons. Jason Gibson's been long-time head coach in this league. I will be excited to see how they can progress going forward. I will go with Orlando here to kick off the slate. Then Quad City, coming off the win against Green Bay, they go to San Diego. San Diego had a close one with Tucson on the road. This will obviously be a big one for both teams to start to make some strides, even though it's an out-of-conference game. Huge for the record in trying to get another win on your belt to move up in the in your standings in your respective conference. Where are you looking at with this one? Quad City feels like they're starting to get back rolling.
Yeah, Quad Cities is getting into the place where they should have been to start the season, where everyone had them at the start of the season. Obviously, I'm not just saying that because they beat us, #1 team in the East, but I mean that is a part of it. The D-line looked fantastic. They were getting to Liam pretty quick. Even if it didn't translate to sacks, that was pressure. And they're going to do the same thing with Nate Davis. I'm going to go to Quad Cities. I think San Diego can keep it close. And, if they see themselves with the ball at the end of the game, they could pull up an upset. But I think in Quad Cities, just a little more put together, they're going to have this pretty well.
Jumping into Saturday, Vegas at San Antonio.
What do you think?
Vegas looks like a well-oiled machine
for San Diego.
Oh, San Diego?
Yeah,
Quad City. Going Quad City as well. Jumping in, Vegas, San Antonio. Vegas looks like a well-oiled machine. We were talking a little bit before we went on air. San Antonio's defense, they find ways to kind of limit possessions and do well from that front, but Vegas looks like a well-oiled machine. I like them going into San Antonio and keeping the winning ways up.
Yeah, San Antonio's offense has been their weak suit since 2024, obviously not having Sam Castronova, but they haven't been able to turn anything offensively in the last 2 years, at least so far. But the defense has been really stepping up, kind of keeping them in games. I'm still going with Vegas, but if San Antonio can start figuring out their offensive problems, they're going to start knocking off a couple of games, and they could work themselves up in the West.
Fishers at Tulsa to continue things on Saturday. Tulsa now needs one under their belt. They looked like they're starting. They look strong at points, but this was just one that a couple late miscues kind of set them back in the overtime loss at Orlando. Fishers getting a win against Iowa. They continue to look strong after the Arizona win. That was a 30-point win against Iowa. Where do we see here? I think you said Orlando Jacksonville. I think this one will be a game of the week.
I think that one's going to be pretty close too. I just like the rivalry a little bit more in Jacksonville.
That's fair.
Fishers Tulsa that's another one that's going to be a shootout. I'm going Fishers. Their offense has just been looking fantastic. They started a little slow in Iowa, but right at towards the end of that second quarter, they turned on the burners and never looked back. So I think Tulsa's going to have a little hard time dealing with that offense, and yeah, I'm going to go Fishers.
I'll also go Fishers. It doesn't really seem like the MO it feels at times with, even though you have a strong defensive-minded coach in Marvin Jones, we've seen some of the best defensive-minded coaches. Sometimes they find themselves in shootouts. Mike Davis, Corey Roberson, and names like that. So sometimes that's just how it goes. Scoring points is the name of the game. I will go with Fishers because their offense feels like they have so many weapons that they can keep going back to the well with. We'll jump ahead to Sunday. Arizona at Northern Arizona. A couple short road trips here that we get to recap. But Arizona, again, it wasn't wire to wire, but a strong win against San Antonio. Naz, this was one that they probably should have had against New Mexico, and now they welcome in a strong opponent in Arizona.
Yeah, you got to go Arizona. Northern Arizona, it hasn't come together yet, and maybe it can towards, as we go farther into the season, but they just haven't put up anything that looks. I mean, they had a close game last week, but nothing's come together yet. So, and now you're taking on the best team in the West. So, I'm gonna go Arizona. I think they have this pretty handily.
You think Arizona is still better than Vegas?
Right now, yeah.
Okay. We'll see. I think that'll get settled in August.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That'll get settled in August. I will also go Arizona. Same deal. Even though they're Warts and Fishers, I think they will be just fine. So go with the Rattlers, and then rounding things out, New Mexico at Tucson, matchup we saw just a few weeks ago in New Mexico. Tucson, I'm starting to get impressed by them. Even though they took the loss, I'm impressed by what they've been able to put together with some new faces to the IFL. Brandon Mackey's an incredibly strong runner. We saw that last year in another league. I'm very intrigued by Tucson. I am going to go with them. I think this is the first time I've actually picked against New Mexico. I'm going to go with the Sugar Skulls to get the win at home.
I'm going to have to agree with you. Tucson's like 2 mistakes away from looking really great. And yeah, I mean, New Mexico's been coming together as well, but it's going to be close. I think this one you could really feel it could go in either way. It almost went either way when they played a couple weeks ago. I'm still going to go Tucson.
Yeah, I will go with Tucson as well, keeping up this home stretch. I continue to see improved notes from the Sugar Skulls. So that wraps things up for our slate here. One more game to discuss in our blueprint. It is another matchup between the Iowa Barnstormers and the Green Bay Blizzard. Well, it's not too much of a scout that you're going to have to go back in the archives for. This was just 2 weeks ago. But I think the big thing you have to look at is those crucial penalties on defense, 3rd and 4th down. You have to get off the field. That was another struggle that they had on 3rd down against Quad City. You have to be able to get off the field and play clean on 3rd and 4th down.
Yeah, it brought the game closer towards the end of the Iowa game. Not that I don't think anyone was really worried Green Bay was going to find a way to lose the game, but the only reason we won, points-wise, right, we were up 23 after the first quarter. So if Green Bay starts slow like they did against Quad Cities, you could easily see Iowa kind of keeping it close, if not pulling ahead at some point. So Green Bay's got to keep the penalties down, keep the running back in check. I can never remember his name.
Ravenel.
Yeah. Thank you. He looked fantastic.
Oh, sorry, Ravenel. Najee, yeah. I know what you're referring to. It does feel, though, they do have a lot of those guys that they can have that potent offense of versatile. They have a good blend of size and speed. But yes, I do agree with where you're saying there. We saw him against Quad City. He had a great start to that game. I think that'll be another one to have in check because the run game, we saw it with Jared Ware and Daquan Neal, being able to see them get going. Have to limit those long trunk plays. Yep,
and that's where Iowa got most of their yards against us, so we got to keep that in check.
So the other thing I wanted to dive into, again, this is kind of more of talking about Green Bay's side defensively. You really saw that bite the first 2 weeks. They were able to limit the big play. Now that you've kind of seen it go back the opposite way the last 2 weeks, I know there are injuries on that side of the ball. Where do you want to see those adjustments specifically?
Yeah, the defense has just got to keep it together. We saw that a lot last week, where we started off really hot defensively, right? Starting with under 30 with Vegas, or 37, I think. Now going to Quad Cities where it's over 40, 51, right? So defense got to keep it together a little bit, kind of start getting turnovers, right? We didn't have any against Quad Cities, only stopping them for a field goal. So defense just got to come together. We've had injuries, but everyone does. So
yeah,
that's not really an excuse.
Yeah, and then the other side, I think something you really saw against Quad City is you finally actually saw Liam Thompson feel a little bit uncomfortable. He had to find ways to roll out, couldn't really press things downfield. Where do you want to see, again, injuries on the offensive line, but that's still expected to be a strong unit. The adjustment of trying to keep the quarterback clean.
Yep. I mentioned it earlier. Liam just didn't have as much time. We couldn't get the run game going either because of that injuries on the O-line. That's where our offense struggled, right? We saw that in the first half. So it's not going to fix itself overnight, but
the things that
gotta get together.
At some point, we over the first 3 weeks, we were kind of finding ways to how can we be frustrated. A lot easier to be frustrated after a loss. So there's a lot more that we can look back on and say, hey, what needs to be fixed? Sometimes you need one of those early in the season. So this should be another test against Iowa. This is a team they've had some tough results, but we've seen a couple weeks ago they can find ways to get spurts. You have to find a way to limit those. I think that's something that we will certainly see this weekend. Any closing thoughts before we wrap things up and put a bow on another great episode of the Cold Front?
No, it should be great though. Looking good to see Green Bay Phoenix come out.
Yeah, Frozen Phoenix taking the field on Saturday against the Iowa Barnstormers at the Resch Center. Should be an incredible matchup, an incredible atmosphere at the Resch Center. That's BJ Steffen. I'm Joey Bonadonna. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Cold Front Podcast. We'll see you in the next one, and we'll wrap things up as we always do. Go Blizz!